Hello, I'm Chris, and this is my how to install vinyl flooring video. Now, I am not a professional floor guy, so if that's what you're looking for, this video is not for you. I'm a DIY person that makes DIY videos for guys and girls. As you can see, what we're going to be using from Home Depot. So 90% of the difficulty is going to be prepping and planning and getting everything out of the way to even do your floor. About 5% is going to be how to go around appliances, things like that. Under the refrigerator, do we move it? Yes, we have to. Installation is fairly easy. Let's go over all the little things that I am going through to get this perfect. So first of all, this is going in the kitchen and the living room. As you can see, we got the oak floors we still got to rip out going that way. So once you figure out what you're going to use, this is a vinyl, water resistant for kitchen, bathrooms, wherever you want to put it. They actually dropped the price to $1.69. All this stuff was about $2.50 last year. So that's Moonstone color. They sell this at Home Depot right now. $38 a box. I think it does about 20 feet. Floating floor vinyl that has the underlayment already on it. You do not glue it. It locks together. Super nice bond, lays super flat. And that brings us to our first part. Buy you one box of this stuff and set it down on the floor and walk around it for a few hours. Make sure you like that color. So the color's a little bit darker than what I wanted, but walking around it for 24 hours, it totally passes the test with me, and I'm gonna go ahead and use it. So back then, plywood was not invented. That is 3/4 inch thick, 1x6, laid diagonal, and then 3/4 inch solid oak floors. You can see the tar paper they have in between. That's your floor, and this is a subfloor. You cannot put this vinyl flooring down on something like that that's all screwed up. You're really not even supposed to put it on. Let's say if you had just 3/4 inch sheathing as the main floor of the house, OSB, whatever, clearly see 5/8 sheathing all in the kitchen. Okay, so that's where you come in. Some people would just start laying it right there. Some might say, oh, we're gonna start laying it right there. It really doesn't matter where you start, but what is important before you start is finding the center of the room and marking a line down. So what happens if we start getting off, and then by the time we get to the living room, we're actually a little crooked? Are we gonna lay this straight down our living room crooked? We can't do that. So how you do this? I took one measurement by that little yellow laser over there, and I took one measurement about in the middle of the living room. They're exactly the same. So we put one dot right here, one dot right there, and I took the little laser and I lined the dots up. And when they lined up, I marked them down there, and we're just walking down the line, lining more of them up. So does this line make sense to you? Because it has to. Whenever we start installing our floor, we need to take a measurement from this side and that side, and they need to match this line. If it doesn't, we got to bonk it one way, bonk it the other way. So you see we got a few pieces in there, but you can still move this, see? That's what I was talking about. That line is screwed up. You're going to have to slide this or bonk it one way or the other early in here. I just really want that line to make sense to you, because this is the kitchen and that's the living room, and that floor has to match and flow both of these rooms. So what I do is actually get down there on the floor and I feel every square inch of that plywood for any types of nails, snags. You had to do a little repair. So I am having a problem right here. There's one diagonal 1x6 that runs like that where all those attach, and there is a little height difference right there. So we got our first little issue right there. Now I measured it out, and the plank actually covers that up. So we can just roll the dice with it. Hopefully it'll work, or we can sand it down. Okay, let's just say you just made your coffee. You just start laying floor. Everything is going down great. Where did you mess up? Well, you don't know where you messed up with, because it hasn't came that time yet. We found our center of our kitchen line. We've been measuring. Everything is straight. Come on down the line, come on down the line. And then you find out when you start this room what you screwed up on. Let's talk about that so you do not make this mistake. So we took a measurement of the living room floor to get our center line. And we have exactly 28 planks that fit perfectly in here with our gaps on the edges. So we come in here, I took a measurement from right here, and we got 48. Come right here, 6 times 6 is 36. We can cut a little bit off, no big deal. So we haven't measured this one yet. You come over here, 6 times 8 is 48. 6 times 9 is 54. So you see that our plank is going to be right here, but we can easily notch that plank out. So there's no big deal. That's easy, that's done. We're going to have to do a little trimming right there, no big deal. But we started over there, right? We already worked our way. And if you don't take those measurements, we would have found out that we would have had 1 1/4 inches right here. So what does that mean? That means that if that plank was going to go through our living room, we would have to move everything over 1 1/4. So that means that that one going against the wall, we would have to take 1 1/4 off of that one. And our main freaking wall of the house is going to have a 1 inch little strip right there in the corner. You may never notice it, but once you do, you can never erase that from your mind. So we don't want to have that 1 1/4 inch strip right here, but it's going to have to be somewhere. So what do? We're going to scoot that over this way. You know, I am holding the phone and talking, but please absorb that in your mind if you're going to do these floors. We would much rather scoot this over where it needs to be. We're going to have that 1 1/4 inch gap. Let's cut that little fill strip along this line that nobody will ever see. So we got this little weird spot right there. My freaking big sander, the belt all broke, so we're just going to try to knock it down a little bit with this. Okay, so we got something screwed up like this. We really need this to be in the middle of this. We had to come back 1 1/4 inches. Let's see what happens. So we're still good. You see the point how that seam is in the middle? It's not that bad, but there is something there. I'm not gonna lie. So issues like this can pop up. You have to make the decision. Do you want to put some floor leveler on there? You can actually Bondo this whole area up and sand it down smooth. There's a bunch of things you can do. To me, the difference is not more than 1/8 of an inch. It's like a 1/16 of an inch. And it says it can have 1/8 of an inch little imperfections. So I'm gonna roll the dice with it. It actually is not rocking on there, as you can see. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and let that one pass. But if this was a high traffic area, living room or a hallway, we would have to put some floor leveler down and fix that, because you already know probably in a couple of weeks we're going to start seeing something broken right there, cracked. But this is the kitchen, and that's where the table is going to be to eat at. So I guess I might just have to invest in a bigger size table or something. But just showing you things like that can happen. It's up to you how you fix them. Okay, read your instructions a couple of times. This faces the first wall you're going to start at. You're going to come in here and put them like that and like that and like that. So we need 1 1/4 inch little strip to start over there. So we need to come down here and cut our 1 1/4 inch. I'm going to go ahead and cut it 1.5 inches. All right, so sheetrock's 1/2 inch, so I'm pretty good at 1 3/8. Okay, I just don't think we're going to be able to score this and it's actually going to work. Let's just try it for the first time. The other style I cut with the skill saw, this does seem like it's going to work. It says to do it several times. Stuff is strong. Guess it did work. Huh. So another thing that I do is I keep a little brush to brush these little grooves out. I don't want nothing coming in the way of these not working perfect. So we got an idea how to do the little strip now over here. All right, so on this stuff, you cannot play games. You see we're at the toe board. You really do need your 1/4 inch gap, 1/8 inch gap. Just give it something. Do not in a million years butt that up against there. Well, there is a little gap. Well, that's not enough. So the manufacturer says to give it a 1/4 inch. Make sure you give it a gap. You have to do that. I remember when this laminate stuff first started hitting the stores, my friend did his whole house. It was so beautiful. He was so happy. He did it for Christmas for his wife. And then when the summer came in Houston, there was a lot of humidity. And he had a chimney in his house. Imagine that's a chimney. And this stuff buckled up all around the chimney. And he had to rip it all out. So he had this big ripped out part around the chimney. And he thought that water was coming in from the chimney at night and making it get wet. And that's why it blistered up. Back then, I didn't know anything and I didn't care. And I wouldn't learn what happened until I got into siding, like hardy board. And if you put that hardy board in, let's say right up against that edge and right up against that edge, it expands and contracts. That is a real thing. It is not bull crap. That thing will expand and it'll buckle and it'll bow right up in the middle about 1 inch. I do not know how vinyl flooring expands and contracts, but trust me, it is a real thing. So we gave it a 1/4 inch gap. We come down here and do not cut a little piece like that for the edge. The instructions say 8 inches. So when you have a situation like that, you just got to go down to that first plank and just cut it in half. Do whatever you got to do to get at least 8 inches over here. So let me go ahead and get this stuff cut down to our little strip size, and we'll come back out here when we're figuring out this little corner piece. We got our little strip cut except for the last piece. Remember, do not butt it up against, please do not do that. It will buckle eventually. Gonna give it about a 1/4 inch, at least an 1/8 inch gap. So now we're gonna explain the little flip trick to get that exact measurement. We get our piece, we find the orientation of it. So we start putting it up, the cut is on that side. Okay, so this is the side with the cut. We can grab the side with the cut. We flip it around. We're still holding the side with the cut. And it doesn't matter which side it's facing. We're gonna face it up. So the sheetrock is right there. My sheetrock is not on the floor. I got another 1/2 inch. But we do not go under the sheetrock. You have to go a 1/4 inch out from the sheetrock. So you also got to consider the trim that you're using. Our trim is 1/2 inch. So we literally need that exactly to be 1/4 inch. This 1/4 inch off of the wall is critical because when you start trying to piece this together and lay it and puzzle it together, if you don't have this, it is going to be impossible to get a piece under that sheetrock. So go ahead and give it that 1/4 inch. And it is recommended that you buy this little kit if you're going to be doing flooring. I think it was like 20 bucks, and you got to buy the little rubber mallet. But you'll see this somewhere in the flooring section. And it's going to come with a bunch of these little spacers that you can use if you need them for some reason. So we got our gap right there. Now we can literally come over here, mark that piece. So get our framing square, mark it. And that cut right there will cut this piece 100% perfect. So now I see why they talk about scoring it, because if you cut this with a saw, it is going to shoot these little plastic pieces in your face. And if you're one of them hard heads that cuts without safety glasses, I dare you to cut this without safety glasses. And do not throw your scraps away, you may need them later. So we need our little 1 1/4, 1 3/8 little strip. And I'm going to be upfront with you that when you cut it like that, it's going to get everywhere and it's going to be a little bit painful. So we got our little piece cut and ready. Let's go ahead and clean this up and get it started. So you have to read your instructions to figure out the process of getting it in there. See, left to right installation. You have to lift up on that plank, get that one started, and then get them into place. It's a little bit difficult, takes a little while to learn, but it's possible. Look, I already got that much done. See, if we were cut under that, we would have no way to start this piece. We come in here like this. We haven't had any binds. Everything fits and snaps into place. And you can see this thing looks beautiful. That's what I was talking about. Buy a box of it, spend a few hours, test it out, see how it snaps together and how it goes together, because I'd rather waste $40 than to buy the whole freaking house that we have to do and be forced to use something that I'm not pleased with. So I went and got some more from a different batch from a different Home Depot, and it seems to be joining up with it just fine. So we got a situation here. Do we just go up to the toe board, maybe lift that oven up and continue down? Well, that's what we do on the dishwasher, but the truth is on the stove, it has to come out and you got to go all the way to the wall. Okay, so 1 1/4. In a situation like this, we're gonna have to put a little cut on it. Score what you can. It's not that hard. For some reason, I thought scoring involved a lot of pressure downward. It doesn't. It's just a lot of little slits, and it works really, really good. Actually came out really good, but we got to trim a little bit off. It's a little bit of work, but obviously well worth it. So one of the instructions says to put it all in like I was doing at first, and then these instructions are saying to set it in there like that and just tap it in. So let's try that. Okay. So this is like some plastic block. You put it to the edge and you can actually hit it. This is a very important tool that you're going to need, because if you end up pushing the floor too much against the wall, you have to stick this in there, hook it, and then you tap it out this way. So I was saying it was optional. No, you need this kit mainly because of this tool right here. You can use anything to tap it, but you're going to have to find something heavy duty like this. Now we're going to use our tool to try to bang this back from the wall if we can get it in there. So we're going to step on it. All right, it sure did. Okay, so we've demonstrated that this particular brand can be tapped in and the butt joint tapped in and closed. And that looks freaking beautiful. Look at that. Looks awesome. So it may look like, oh, it's going together so nice. This is not fun and this is not easy. Let me go ahead and get some more done and we'll look at it in a little bit. So once you get to a certain point, you got to do a center room check. So I took a measurement from the edge of the flooring to our center line, and then I came over here and took another measurement, and I am 1/16 of an inch off. So that whole floor, we got to scoot it 1/16 of an inch. And once you get it all locked together, we really need to be pulling on that side with that special tool in the kit, but you can kind of lift up on it and just a little bit like that. So we have enough on there, but not too much where it's too heavy to move. See, I screwed the side gap up, but we can get in here and over to that one if we need to. So watch that gap too. I don't know how it got screwed up, but they will move on you when you start tapping stuff around. It's very important that you have that whole row in there before you make your cut, because you will most likely come up short if you don't. So once I get a little bit on there, I prefer to stand on this side so when I tap it, it don't move the whole floor. With our proper 1/4 inch right here, we are able to drop it in without any problems. If you cut it too tight, it'll hit. So this one, you could do it a few different ways. I like to do it like this. Get it right up there, open a little bit. I got my foot right there. And I did see it close that gap just a freaking hair. You know, and tapping it together is critical to give it that one piece look. That looks like some kind of manufactured expensive wood that was planed and done all that, but it's just a whole bunch of little planks. And this is about $75 right there. So we're making progress. When you get about this much on there, you can't really move it anymore. We have it to about 1/64 of an inch, both sides square. And if we're off at this wall, which you can see, it sticks out a little bit and then it kind of doesn't right there. You'd rather have it off a little bit on that wall than to have it off down the middle of the living room. Another thing I found out about this tool is this is like 3/8. I think this is 5/8. So you can actually use that as a trim checker. The trim I'm putting on here is 1/2 inch. So you see those gaps right there? I can actually put that over it and then look down here and you can see how the trim is going to cover those gaps up. So it seems to all be working out. The floors have actually gotten better over here. It was just this one little area. All right, so we got about 4.5 boxes down, somewhere around $200 to do this little area. I decided to stop right there because As you can see, I still have to rip the old floor out and put the sheathing down, which is $53 a sheet. Not looking forward to that. When you get this far, by then you'll have the hang of it. Everything laid down perfectly smooth. If you run your hand across that, you don't feel no snags or nothing. It was not that hard. I just put a towel under that oven, stuck it back in there, hooked it back up. Well, just want to show you what's going on. This brand right here passes the test. It turns out it's a Home Depot brand. They have plenty of it, plenty of colors. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.